34-year-old offensive guard Zack Martin has informed the Cowboys on yesterday, that he plans to retire this offseason, leaving a massive hole in the Cowboys' offensive line. He was an 11-year veteran. He won 7 All-Pro first teams, 2 All-Pro second teams. He was a 9-time Pro Bowler, and he decided to hang it up. It really, if you take a look at the numbers here, if he played more than 10 games, he was getting an accolade. Whether it be a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro first team or second team, he was going to win something. He was that great. So here's my question to you. How big of a loss is Zack Martin for the Cowboys entering this year with everybody's new, basically? Coaching staff and everybody. Yeah. How big of a loss is this for the Cowboys?
It's a huge loss, as you say. It impacts Dallas by leaving such a void on their offensive line, particularly at right guard. That's where he made his name, where he was considered one of the best players in the league. He's also a leader on the field. I think that he holds the other offensive linemen accountable. The Cowboys will need to address this void either through the draft or free agency. I don't think it's going to be free agency because Jerry Jones never does that. He's not going to bring in a free agent. So, or internally, they may be able to address it. He was the anchor of the Cowboys' offensive line. He's a future Hall of Famer, as you mentioned, first team All-Pro 7 times. Only had 7 holding penalties in his 11-year career. That's pretty amazing, huh? It's the first big decision for Schottenheimer. I'd say replacing Martin's talent is probably not possible. They have all-pro caliber player in Tyler Smith on the other side of the line, on the left side. And their in-house or outside options, finding his complement to fill Martin's shoes is going to be tough. They have in-house, they've got Brock Hoffman. He filled in for Martin after
he was incredible.
He got hurt and needed ankle, and I think maybe the ankle surgery may be the reason that Martin is calling it quits. Maybe just doesn't feel like he can come back to his all-pro form after that surgery. He says Martin helped him a lot. He helped the whole offensive line, making sure we always play to the high standard, no matter who was on the line. He played 379 snaps, gave up 2 sacks, 16 quarterback pressures. He plays with a chip on his shoulder and is being an enforcer on the O-line in the O-line room. He's motivated to play at a high level at right guard. He says it's an honor to play that position because Martin had been the anchor there for more than a decade. He's an exclusive rights free agent this year, so Dallas will have dibs on him, and I'm pretty sure they're going to bring him back for sure. And he's somebody that looks like he could maybe fill in there pretty credibly. TJ Bass is another guy they have. Can also play right guard. He has versatility to play really anywhere on the interior of the O-line. He's in the last year of his contract, though. And then you look at the draft. Dallas has drafted an offensive lineman in each of the last 7 drafts, and they've had 3. They've drafted in the first 3 rounds 4 times, and that shows they've got some guys on the bench that can play. There's some really good offensive linemen out there this year. Tyler Booker from Alabama, he's really the top guard prospect in the draft. He's both good run and pass, good at run blocking and pass blocking. He allowed just 2 sacks at Alabama in his 3 years. He played primarily on the left side, though. And then there's Donovan Jackson, who was on the team that won the college championship game this year. He's versatile. He can play anywhere on the 5 spots. He's explosive out of his stance, so he might be a good choice. Tate Rutledge of Georgia has experience. He's 24 years old, only 2 sacks and 2,000 snaps. Maybe they move Cooper Beebe. He could move to guard. He's a rookie who played center this year and did a very good job there. They've hired this guy Riley as their head coach, who was the offensive line coach for Beebe in college and raves about his versatility. I think it's either the draft or they're going to do it with the existing players they've got because Jerry Jones never goes big on free agency.
I think that this is a massive loss. I think it's a massive loss just for the locker room because if we actually take a look at his production on the field, Zack Martin played terribly this year. The past 2 seasons, he's gotten progressively worse, and this year, it got to a point where against the Detroit Lions, his pass blocking grade, and I've never seen this, and I've used Pro Football Focus now for probably 5 years, was a 0. I've never seen a 0 in Pro Football Focus before, but his pass blocking grade was a 0. And what's crazy is that you bring up 4 holding penalties his entire career. That would only be in run blocking, because there was a number out from Warren Sharp that in 6,659 pass protection snaps, he's had 0 accepted holding calls. He doesn't get holding in pass protection. He is one of the greatest offensive guards in NFL history. He is for sure a first-ballot Hall of Fame offensive lineman. But the facts are the facts. This year, he was not good. He honestly was actually terrible, because the Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks, the percentage of pressures, right guard, a.k.a. Zack Martin, in his time, the first 11 weeks of the season, he was the leader in that department. And since his injury from week 12 to the end of the regular season, their offensive line was the second most pass-blocking efficient offensive line, with the fewest hurries and the fewest pressures in the NFL. So their offensive line did improve, and I think that is due to Brock Hoffman being so great, because he ended with a 98.7 pass block efficiency grade, which is 11th best among all offensive linemen for 2024. 6 pressures, 1 sack across 286 pass blocking snaps. So yeah, Brock Hoffman, he probably will be a perfect fill-in. But let's say they do see a potential upgrade. I see 3 really good options, actually. The first one's obvious. Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs. He was one of, if not the best offensive guard, at least left guard, or right guard, and he fills into Zack Martin's right guard position beautifully anyway. But Trey Smith is a wonderful pickup. Tevin Jenkins, formerly of the Chicago Bears, he might not be a bad option to fill in. And how about this? I talked about him earlier. Mekhi Becton. I know we could take the Jets' tenure out of the way, because he was never healthy. It was an ugly experience. He comes to the Eagles, and it's like, well, he's starting. He's part of the best running attack in the NFL. He allowed Saquon in his first season to rush for 2,000 yards, on pace to break the record. And he was a key piece of this offensive line, which ultimately ended up being number 1 once the Lions got eliminated. So I think Mekhi Becton would be a perfect pickup. But I think that the locker room, he will be missed. I'm sure Jerry Jones is very upset, because at one point, Zack Martin did have a contract dispute, and Jerry Jones ultimately, like he always does, waits till the 11th hour in the 59th minute to finally pay his guys. So he got a pretty big contract. But yeah, I think it's a locker room thing, because you're not going to have an 11-year vet who every time he played more than 11 games, there was an accolade associated with his career anyway. So I think this is a massive loss internally. But I think that if you bring back Brock Hoffman, if you decide to sign Trey Smith, Tevin Jenkins, Mekhi Becton, whoever you want, I think that the production side of it actually might be improved, because, like I mentioned, the most amount of pressures for each individual offensive lineman position, the Cowboys ranked as the worst, meaning the highest pressure rate from right guards during Zack Martin when he was starting for him from weeks 1 to 11. So that includes Cooper Rush. That includes Dak Prescott. So production-wise, he won't be missed, because of the past 2 seasons, he got worse, and this year he was terrible. But I think that from a locker room standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, I think that's where he'll be missed the most.
Yeah, I think Brock Hoffman's going to be right guard for the Dallas Cowboys next year. I think they have some other players on the bench there that look pretty good. They've done pretty well with the draft, and offensive players. They'll probably offensive linemen, and they'll probably draft another one this year.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of how Jerry Jones rolls.
Yeah.
Fortunately, though, you got to spend money. You have too many holes, too many holes. You got to start
spent a lot of
money.
money. They've spent a lot of money. They haven't gotten the return.
And that's because Jerry Jones waits so long. And then I guarantee you, CeeDee Lamb's making $34 million on average per year. You could have gotten him for 31 if A.J. Brown didn't restructure his deal to be 32 apiece, if Justin Jefferson didn't make the 35 mark. I mean, think about it now. If it were going into this offseason where CeeDee Lamb needed to get paid, Jamar Chase asked for $40 million per year. What would CeeDee Lamb be worth? 38 instead of 34? I mean, there is that scenario.
Yeah, I know. It's the salaries are just going to continue to go up. They're just going to continue to go up. If you got a
The
good
Bengals
player,
are in a similar situation.
Yeah,
They
the
might have
Bengals,
to pay Jamar Chase $40 million.
yeah,
And T. Higgins, you may need to pay him $30+ million
Yeah.
to keep him.
yeah.
So it's a whole situation. You got to pay your guys. They're worth it. I know. It's
Yeah,
a
well,
money
there's
thing.
restrictions there with the cap and all of that. I mean, there's only so much you can pay
Pay your
them.
damn players. I mean, here's the thing. The Bengals have the money. Use it.
The Eagles have proven that you can get it done with over $50 million contracts.
They have 7 of them. The Bengals have 2. One is Orlando Brown Jr., who didn't perform that well, and one's Joe Burrow, who literally had an MVP. You're not going to probably see a better season than what Joe Burrow just had. You're probably not. Just going to throw it out there. Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.